Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring SerBling in our bottom left corner, playing our Periwinkle Zerg, and in the top right we have Darren C, our red Protoss. This is a best of 3. We're on Daybreak LE, and I know that Darren is in Masters, but I'm not 100% sure about Serb. I'm going to assume he's in Masters because he's made it to the second tier of the tourney. This is off of the GameFAQS tourney, currently going on, hosted by Bone Carlos. So if you make it to Game 2, you've got to be pretty good, you know. You won a best of 1 in Ohana, now you're on to the best of 2. I do not have the other 2 games in this best of 3 because evidently whoever loses decided to log off immediately after the loss. Probably was unaware that it was a best of 3 because the first run was a best of 1, and more power to you. He probably had something very important to do, like homework or lunch. Could be lunch. It doesn't matter. He had stuff to do, and it looks like Darren is deciding to do a forge fast expand. He's got that pylon placed on the low ground. Gonna get a forge to complete the wall off. Daybreak is it's kind of awkward to wall off. The most successful wall-offs I've seen incorporates the Nexus right here, and then the Forge, and then you just kind of work everything into one gigantic wall, and it forces the units down. It leaves kind of a secondary pathway down behind the Vespene geysers, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. It's just kind of awkward, and it allows you to have a bunch of surface area to hit those Zerglings as they do your run by, and it's also really hard to stretch your wall off all the way around here and make it tight by the time the Zerglings drop. If it's an earlier pool. It looks like Serb is building a hatchery somewhere. He was building a hatchery. He was building a hatchery up in Darren's expansion. It looks like he's going to do that Evo chamber switch because creep is generated underneath the hatchery, and you can throw an Evo chamber directly underneath it and kind of block it off. However, with that forge finish, it looks like Darren's going to throw down a photon cannon well within range of the hatchery and is going to be able to take out that hatchery very quickly. Maybe he canceled the hatchery here because there was just a spot of creep there. I don't know if you noticed. I don't know. Spawning pool being built by Serb though, so he's going to have out some ground units shortly. There goes the cancel and there goes the Evo chamber. It's pretty hard to do that because almost instantly the creep begins to recede, and if you don't have enough creep to throw down the Evo chamber, it can go awry. So the photon cannon pops and is going to make the Evo chamber go down eventually, but plenty of health on that Evo chamber as it's being built. I'm surprised to let it go on this far. I bet he's going to cancel it to regain some of that money. No, he lets it finish. That is a quite an investment. Serb also building a hatchery down on the low ground. However, behind the mineral line outside of vision goes 3 pylons being built right behind the mineral line. I think this right here is a gap that allows units to slip through, so that pro has to be very careful, can't let this get scouted. Is going to throw down a photon cannon as soon as it finishes, probably going to make that tight. And it's within range of that hatchery, so that hatchery will begin taking damage as soon as that photon cannon finishes. At the same time, Darren C has been slightly delayed in the building of his own Nexus, which is why he's doing this sort of harassment. The Zerglings are there to scout, sees the shenanigans going on from Darren C. His Zerglings frantically trying to make their way to the photon cannon, won't be able to do any damage to that. Maybe focus down that pylon. No, it looks like this guy's going to have a hard time getting there. Better surface area on the lower pylon, but the photon cannon does finish and is going to take the hatchery to the House of Pain. At the same time, Darren has gotten his Nexus down, hasn't completed that wall off just yet, but it does look like he's going for that kind of diagonal attack way, a cancel out of Serb. So now he's got quite a lot of money and nothing to spend it on. He's probably going to go for a supplemental third hatchery up on the top left corner, and that is where we can see the shadow of a hatchery being built. Definitely the correct decision. Got to throw down that hatchery, got to throw down that expo some way to stay in the economic battle, because one base against Protoss who's going this forge fast expand ends in disaster. You can definitely make it work if you already have the infrastructure for a roach push, but as things are now, Serb has to kind of salvage his economy, and it's going to be very hard to break this sort of contain because the surface area on any of the pylons is pretty negligible, and even though there's just one photon cannon doing damage, you're going to lose quite a lot of Zerglings if you try to break that. So hatchery up on the third, take your time, get the saturation up there. Eventually this will go down to some sort of range units, probably 2 queens, not enough to take this down, especially with them off of creep. It looks like Serb is going to try for it, and this is going to be pretty bad actually. Neither of them have enough energy for a transfuse, so that queen gets in the red and is pulled back, wow, just barely. Good micro there from Serb, just knowing when to pull back his queens. The other one going to 25 health and is pulled back. Both in red, both doing a little bit of structural damage, but probably not enough to justify that sort of harassment. Darren, though, is working on his economy. He's got 32 over 28 for the probe count, and has got that level 1 weapons on the way. 2 gas and a Stargate on the way. Ooh, a little bit of airplay. Nice to be able to push out from the safe haven of your 2 Expo with that Forge Fast Expand on that wall. Nice to be able to kind of push out when you want to. 3 queens now, but 2 of them very, very weak. It looks like some nice control from Darren C, targeting the weakened queen. A good transfuse from Serb, however, ooh, very, very low health from that one queen. The other one off of creep goes down. 2 shots from the photon, 3 shots from the photon cannon takes down the other one. It's a combined loss of 300 minerals. Quite a lot of money there lost for Serb. In fact, 650 total, all things considered, with the hatchery canceled and all that jazz. So yeah, he's significantly behind Darren. As you know, he's got his economy's been stunted. He's been awkwardly positioned, and the tech for Darren is top drawer. I mean, he's got that Stargate. He's working on that Void Ray. He's got quite a lot of gas income right now, working on that 4th geyser. And the +1 has already finished. What does Serb have? He's got Queen that's being harassed by a couple of zealots being warped in. He's got that macro hatch being built right now. Looks like some drones being pulled, having to deal some damage to those zealots. But once the 2nd queen arrives on scene, it's going to be doing enough damage to take down those zealots. But another warpment of 2. Supplemental 2 geysers being taken by Serb up at the 3rd. Just to stay on top of the tech that he needs. He needs roaches to really break down this wall. Those roaches will do short work to the photon cannon. There's some nice micro by the queen running away from those Zerglings, allowing this other queen to do plenty of damage. A good transfuse on that queen, keeping it alive. At the same time, the Void Ray arrives on scene, but there's 2 queens in that area. These 2 could definitely deal with that Void Ray as long as they remain within range. That Void Ray is, I don't think he's going to be able to. No, he's not. He wasn't able to take down even one of those queens, especially with enough energy for a transfuse. That Void Ray pulls back with just enough energy. You can see quite a lot of Zerglings out on the field, quite a lot of queens. How many queens are we dealing with? 6 queens. A lot of anti-air, which is just fantastic for Serb, because this represents a huge investment right here. It's a lot of stuff that could have gone into different tech, multiple gateways, multiple things out of the robo. And you're really relying upon a surprise for that sort of tech, but because so much anti-air was already in place from the queens, you know, it wasn't able to do as much damage. And these 2 some really nice creep spread to allow those queens to reinforce the 3rd, even though it's so far away. 1 queen being caught off guard from the multiple Phoenix out on the field, but that Void Ray is very, very weak, and you have to be very careful with so many queens out on the way, waddling up to the 3rd. This is not very strong against stuff on the ground, and when those queens arrive, they're going to be able to take down that Void Ray if he's not careful. Pulling back just barely in time, those queens really want to play. At the same time, the harassment from Darren has gone down. The queen and Zergling's tag team has taken down the pylons. Finally, the saturation is going to be underway, but I mean, 54 over 40, the economy is heavily in Darren's favor, and it looks like now that the harassment's been taken care of, the ground-based push is coming out from Darren. He's got quite a lot of guys on the ground. These sentries have been out for a little while. One of them has full energy, the other one's not so much, but they're going to be supplemented by the Phoenix, which are going to be able to pick up the queens or any heavy units in the back. A lot of Zerglings, though, so if Darren gets caught off guard, caught off in the open field, this can get eaten up very, very quickly. Robotics facility working out on that Immortal, and a handful of gateways going to be able to reinforce quickly. Really what it's going to come down to is, will this engagement happen within range of the queens so that they can take care of the Phoenix, and will the Zerglings be able to get a surround, or will the force fields be good enough? Only time will tell. It looks like a couple of the overlords are going down from the Phoenix harassment supply blocking Serb, which is really what he doesn't want to happen with this push coming underway. Nidus Network also being built for Serb. Wow, that's going to be cool. And the 3rd being built for Darren. So basically, Darren just needs to harass for a little bit longer so he can get down that 3rd. And eventually, he'll just be able to overpower this Zerg in pure units. Nice, just holding them up in that corner there. Really wants to bait the Zerglings to engage in a choke. But it looks like Darren's going to be pushing with everything he has. The Zealots making their way to the ramp. Where are all the Zerglings? Are they up top? No, they're not. Oh, they're in the Nidus Network. Where was he building the Nidus network? It looks like it was spotted by the Overlord. Oh, wow. So Darren pushing off into the main, some nice force fields at the bottom of the ramp, lifting up every single one of those queens, which just represents all of the anti-air that Darren has. The Zealots have chewed through all the Zerglings. We've only got 12 left, 15 Zealots on the field, constantly warping them in. You can see on the mini-map there's another wave fast approaching. The Void Ray has gone down from the queens, but it looks like only one of the queens remains to deal with the Phoenix, and they're just chewing through those Overlords. Darren is in a very powerful position right now. All he really needs to do is produce Zealots, and he'll be able to absolutely wreck this economy. The third has remained completely unscathed, but with the Infestors popping out just now, the Phoenix just lift them up, and they don't do any of the damage from the fungal growths. This is a really powerful unit composition. 50 to 115. Darren's going to take this handily with the hatchery going down in the natural. He's going to push up into the main. Oh man, I wish that attack had happened just a couple of seconds later with that Nidus network popping out the third, or maybe even the natural, which is where that Overlord's positioned. I imagine that's where it is. That would have been really, really neat, but unfortunately it didn't quite go as planned, and Ser's really going to have to tap out eventually. Right? I mean, I don't see of a way back from this. He had a really good fighting chance, but it just didn't work out for him. It's neat to see the macro hatch going to the lair. Hey guys, that's going to be it. Don't have game 3 for this one, so if you have a game you want me to cast, you could PM me here or on Reddit. One way or another, I will see you guys later. I am Ibigandscary. That was perfectly timed. Holy crap. I am Ibigandscary. I'll see you guys later. Bye.